All right, Mr. Chair, ready to go.
Great, thank you. Oh my God. Good evening. Thank you for attending the Wednesday, July 12th TMAC. This is the last meeting of the TMAC before a transformation to a new committee called the Transportation Safety Committee or Traffic Safety Committee. Once I get the name of that, I'll certainly let everyone know what that is. I believe it's the Transportation Safety Committee. We can talk more about that transformation after the agenda items, but this will be the last TMAC reading. So if we could just do for the sake of the minutes, a roll call. We have Chair Justin McCollum here, Rain Hoyland
Here.
Tom Ryder
Here.
John McGrath is absent, Rebecca Tarantino is absent, Donna Mullen
Here.
Barry McNeely is absent, and Gus Gerson
Listen, present.
present. Excellent, thank you. We also for the sake of the minutes as well, Tyler is our staff liaison, and Rob Wilson is present, who's our engineer. And, okay, for the agenda item number 2 for the approval of the minutes. Did everyone go through, by the way? Excellent minutes with our new minute taker, Dale Richard. Another shout out to him. These are great minutes. But anyone have any questions or comments with regards to last month's meeting minutes? Oh, let's look at that here. And just for the record, Rebecca Tarantino is present. So we were just going over the minutes last week. We have one petition that's coming in via Zoom, and then there's a second one that may or may not be here. So this right now, we're just going over the minutes. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote for accepting of the minutes as is.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept by Gus, second by
I'll second.
Tom, and all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes with one abstention. Perfect, thank you. So if we want to go into other business status report, want to bring us through that spreadsheet, and then so there's a couple other things we wanted to kind of talk about. I think just to update.
Right. Okay. First of all, the no outlet sign for Hazel Lane, which was item number 4, has been installed.
That's last month's, right?
Yeah, from last month, June's meeting. Yes. I was gonna ask a question. Was any petition received from the petitioner regarding the children playing signs that they asked about?
Do you know, Tyler?
She had asked about the format of the petition that we wanted. I let her know that an online petition would be sufficient. I don't have any updates beyond that.
And she was going to gather, last time, she was going to gather signatures with regards to for that sign. So nothing as of yet.
Right, okay, regarding the Hillside Avenue near the cricket field, the signs have been ordered, right, Ryan? I think?
Yes.
The signs have been ordered for the playground with the speed tab. That has been ordered. Did we order, Ryan, the new tab for the sign above Webster and Highland at the Heights Fire Station? Saying that that's a new sign there?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember. I thought I sent that email to you on that.
That's the email came in and they put it on order usually pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's
Between
okay.
Eric and Derek.
Can I just ask a question about that one? The one at that intersection, have you heard from anybody, or has it generally been quiet?
It's been quiet as far as I know.
Has the town heard from anybody about that new no turn on red at Highland in Webster?
I haven't heard anything.
Did you get a comment on the no turn on red?
That was relating to
The other side.
the other side that we were talking about last week.
Yeah,
The comment was that drivers are not respecting the change, but.
Yeah.
I mean, that's likely, you know, a learned behavior kind of thing, but if there's a change, it's gonna take some time, but there might be more intervention required, and it's up to your judgment.
The only other thing, we met with MassDOT last week and a half ago at Webster.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We
Regarding,
received a comment and a call from a person who crosses at the fire station to the bank.
Yep.
And what was happening is that signal that's set back on Webster adjacent to the fire station was, would continually flash yellow unless the fire station pushes a button, turns red to come out. So as the intersection has exclusive pedestrians, that would still be yellow. That person said they almost got run over by a car.
Yep.
Uses it frequently. So we met with MassDOT and they changed it so that when the intersection is for pedestrian and everything's red, that now goes to red.
Okay, and did we verify that, or that condition has been
We
changed?
verified it, yeah.
Okay, all right, because I did hear anecdotally, I'll call it anecdotal on Facebook, from, I think, the original complainant, Corey, I think is.
yes, we met him.
Yeah, he said that he met with, but I think he said that it wasn't changed yet, so if we could just confirm.
Sure, we confirmed it that day we met.
Okay.
Told them, part of the meeting was the town will take over that intersection at some
Yep.
point and others. And we made clear that until that's fixed, some additional signage, some other mediation, that will
Okay.
not, the town won't take it until it's fixed. And they did it within a couple hours.
Yeah, but the communication that I forwarded was following that meeting from Mr. Corey. And it was confirmed that he's observed the change. Just the comment was that he had witnessed some cars ignoring the red. So that was
That was what the
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah.
Got it,
Yeah.
okay.
I just wonder, do you happen to know if it's a particular time of day? Because if it's a particular time of day, perhaps we just ask for
So
police.
Mr.
monitoring.
Corey is, I believe, is a commuter. And I think he's observing this during meeting times.
But maybe maybe we can just ask them if it's morning or evening and maybe just have it's worth putting a police presence there for the change for a little bit.
Sure, I can ask, follow
So, yeah, and and I was gonna wonder about the new tab, just to get back to that, 'cause that would, I think, would help alleviate people are still going to take a right on red because of, they either don't see it, and we might have to, if this behavior is not changed, we might have to put another no turn on red sign closer instead of across the.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know what I mean, but
Yes.
one actually right there at the
Yeah.
right, because I noticed a couple intersections even in town where we have no turn on red, such as May Street, and where St. Joe's is, that kind of weird left-hand lane, people are still taking
Yes.
lefts or they're still not going in the straight lane. But either way, it's, we want to monitor that, just to make sure, and I think having that new tab might help.
Yes. That gentleman also described that even though it was turning red, people were going down Webster Street to take a left onto Webster Street from Highland to go by the fire station and the bank and that setback crosswalk. So if people are in the queue waiting and it turns yellow, red, they still take the turn, right? And then by the time they get to the intersection, if there's cars there and the crossers, that's a potential hazardous, dangerous condition. So we talked about if that is a real thing and we observe it, I haven't observed it yet, I haven't been out, but if that's taking place, we may want to put out something like an RFB on the pole so that when it's in walk phase, those things will flash.
Got it.
So if they take
Catch
a
it.
turn,
Catching the right
Pedestrian
turners.
activity,
Catching the
yeah,
turn.
right turners and left turners
Well,
going down past.
Got it, okay.
But is it also possible to change the timing on that on the yellow light there? So that it's a little bit longer, only because I have seen that it backs up there all the time. The left lane is always backed up and it's such a hassle because it's also a left only. And so you have people who are in it that are meaning to go straight, so they're cutting into the right too late because they don't realize you have to be in the right. I mean, I still forget.
Yeah.
And then it's a very long, it's not a long enough yellow, so that when people have been sitting in that left lane to turn left, it's so backed up. So I wonder if the yellow, I mean, I know it's not traffic law, you're supposed to stop at a yellow, but I just, for pedestrian safety, I wonder if the yellow should be a little bit longer before it turns red. Is that a thing?
I would rely on Tom and Bob to test.
Evaluate that time, because you have to take that time away from another. And that's
Especially
states
during
right up.
peak.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can change your times of day, but it definitely, every time I'm there, whether it's morning and it's summer hours and with no traffic in town, and I still am finding that
Right.
it's just, there are always people waiting to turn left.
So I think this will be ongoing, if we can just,
Yeah,
kind of
keep
look
looking.
in it and reevaluate timing and or, is that something that?
Mhm.
Okay.
We'll take a look, see what the controls are capable of doing too, if, like at night, changing the timing, of course.
Yeah,
And during commuter hours, make it shorter and
particularly starting in September when,
Yes, yeah.
you're back to the grind. I think it's just gonna be a little hairy.
Do you have any more updates?
Well, but there's a couple of updates, and you mentioned a couple of them earlier, but I didn't know how in-depth we want to go with those before the agenda officially starts, or regarding
Unless
stuff
it's,
like Countryway and Warren Street. And
well, we can talk, no, actually, it'll be on Countryway and Warren, and yeah, we can talk about that now, though.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, perfect.
So Countryway, we have, the engineering division has come up with some alternative geometric changes for that. Now,
Wait, can I ask a question?
implementation and
Sorry.
approval is a whole nother,
Are we talking about that right, where it was marked and then removed?
right, that,
Okay.
yeah.
So what was can I just, I'm sorry, because I missed the last meeting, but what
Yeah.
happened that it was removed? Did some people complain?
There was people complaining, yes, yes.
Okay, and so are we not doing, because it was there, not for long. And then I heard from actually residents that people were complaining and that they wanted to get it removed. So I'm curious how they had it removed. Did they just-
The one, it was painted in the fall, in the late fall,
Yeah.
and then so it survived over the winter. And it was, and we started getting complaints like in February. And then we were just gonna let it fade away and reboot it, do another trial. Meet with the residents and come up with another plan. So our company that does the line striping, they didn't get the message on time. They repainted it. So anyways, we came back out to see, it, I was like, oh, so we had them grind it off. And at first we put barrels out there to make sure that people understand that, try to stick to the road. And we're gonna grind it off, so we did. So the next phase would be to go over some concept plans. This is probably an opportunity at one of these meetings to invite some of the residents in and show some concept plans and go over, our thoughts. And maybe do some more piloting or if we have the capital, just to go ahead and do a capital project. So Bob is developing a few.
Very
concept
preliminary plans,
Yeah,
yes.
the preliminary, the concept.
But do the residents understand that I guess my question is the expectation that they have the option, the people who live there have the option to veto anything that involves a sharp change?
I won't call it like a veto, I'll call it just more of an information process on how we're going to look. So they're part of the discussion, but we're gonna go over a few plans and work with them on that. So we're
Because from a
certainly not gonna
safety-
shove anything down their throats. but
Right,
We wanna,
but from a
Or-
safety standpoint, that huge, we're committed to the fact that massive turning radius is unnecessary and unsafe, right?
we have received many complaints about that over the last 10 years or so, and something needs to be done. We're hearing more and more about drivers not even noticing pedestrians in that area, whipping around the corner, and they're just oblivious, they're just focused.
Right.
Have them focus more on the road and, the turn movement, they have to, come to a slow down and turn and observe the surrounding areas. The other item I want to mention is we also, under our EPA's NIPDES program, they want us to reduce impervious area throughout town. So this is an area such as Tower Ave is another location where there's a huge amount of impervious area. We kind of need to narrow down and create more green space. And we'll get credit from EPA on the reduction of impervious area. But this is one of the areas of town that we can look at and get some credit.
Great,
So it's more than just a traffic thing at this point.
great.
Yeah, I had no idea that they actually.
Can you tell me
What was that?
what you're doing on Tower Avenue?
So Tower, we're coming up with concepts for Tower as well.
What-
So,
what is-
so Tower Ave,
I'm on
yeah,
hold.
you're in the area, so.
Somebody
So you know
here, I wanna
how
know
there's a
what's going on.
wide open area right on top of the hill.
Giant parking lot up there, really.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking at some concepts and we're gonna go through
Creating
a
more
very
green
similar
space.
process.
Or grass.
What's
Yeah,
that?
kind of like narrow it, so there's like a safer,
It makes it safer. It's the tower to tower to tower.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw that plan at Select.
And the idea is also to create some more green space too, so
Okay,
reduce the
that's all I'm
impervious
looking at,
area.
Because I'm actually down that, that intersection, 5 times a day, so I want to know what's going on.
It's a designated.
It is dangerous.
Sidewalk, walking route
Well,
That's what
there
I-
is no sidewalk.
on the side that they walk on, so we're gonna flip it to the other side of Tower.
Yeah.
And then pull the intersection in, so it'll be a shorter crossing for pedestrians and better visibility, slow traffic down, it's wide open. So that's the plan to.
It's a terrible intersection.
Yeah.
So Bob came up with at least 5 concepts, and I think he narrowed it down to 2.
One of which you haven't seen, even later than the one you did see.
Okay, all right, I'm curious to see that.
I'll show you. I don't have it with me right now.
No,
but I'll talk later.
So this is something that I think the select board is interested in as well, so, so that's, so we're looking at.
Before we move on, I've been in contact with some of the Countryway people as well. And they keep reiterating that they also want us to look at the other arm of that intersection as well for traffic calming, just in terms of getting comments about speeding on the other arm of that intersection. So they're also, the ask is also for maybe some short-term traffic calming in that, on that side of the street as well.
There was a request for a crosswalk too, on the other arm as well.
Yeah.
And I think, Bob, you were looking at,
That's part of the preliminary drafts I have. put
raising
together.
the table a little bit, so there's some concepts that are being developed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
I think I talked to you about a little bit about that.
Yeah,
just want to
no,
make sure I mention that because I've gotten calls about that.
Another thing, and it was mentioned, I'm not sure if I'm clarified, I'm not clear on the issue of the LED stop sign at Countryway at that fork coming in. Are we putting in that sign up, Ryan? Do you know?
I think it was discussed whether that's an option we could look at as long as there's enough sunlight.
Yeah, it didn't look, it would look kind of covered under trees right now.
Yeah, but before we do that, we want to, if we change the geometric shape of that area, we should take that.
obviously this is the stop sign at Wendy.
Yeah, I was wondering, in the short term, if,
That stop signs, that intersection, they should be redesigned.
Yes,
And I imagine what stop sign is, cut out the pavement and shift it. Right now, it's under the tree canopy, so the solar will fail there.
that's what I thought, I wasn't sure.
okay, yeah, okay.
And then I think the geometric improvement really should take place.
Excellent.
Right now, it's too sharp, you can see the stop sign, nobody's obeying it, they're kind
Right.
of the same old problems.
So before we leave this, sorry, so what are we talking about in terms of time for geometric improvements and EPA efficiency and neighborhood?
I think we're thinking like this fall, I mean, when we develop the new board to host a meeting, and go over the concepts and go into more design and funding for it. So this one would be like a $50,000, it'd be something else, so.
Be something more like what, sorry?
It wouldn't be like our $50,000
Oh,
money that we have.
I mean, you see that,
available. We
Tens
would-
of thousands.
Yes.
We would put it through an infrastructure account or a capital.
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Bob, you have a?
Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
We asked about Warren Street and
Yes.
traffic calming measures.
Yes.
The width of the street varies from roughly 21.5 feet
Mhm.
to 23, depending on what, it varies going down.
Yes.
I looked into, and I'm not really keen on the idea of putting the edge lines so that there's two 10-foot lanes going down Warren. Me, I think that's a little narrow. Otherwise, the lines might very well be right on the grass or right at the edge of the asphalt berm there. In some places, not everywhere, but it's kind of tight to put. I mean, I understand you put the edge lines and make it feel even narrower than it really is. But
So there'll be slightly more than 10-foot lanes, you're talking
yeah, yeah, they're effectively 10-foot lanes, but there's actually, that's 6 inches or a foot or so of extra.
Do you think from a concept perspective, obviously, we could line down, but as you approach, let's say, one of the intersections where we could, create almost like
There's very little wrong.
is
Yeah,
there,
it's tight. It really is. I checked it at
No, I
Warren,
believe
it was
it.
21.5 feet. And I said, wow. I just said, wow.
that is narrower than I thought.
where is it, 21.5, right,
Right at Kimball.
right at Campbell?
Mhm. John and I went out there today.
Funny, it feels wide there.
Yeah.
I was thinking, because I thought we were talking about by the
I
bridge.
thought it was wider myself when I did it and then we went down and
Do you know where it is at the bridge?
I didn't go that far down.
Right.
Can Warren, but Warren and Kimball can't be we can't have a crosswalk there. Is there a stop sign at Warren and Kimball?
Yes.
Yes, on Kimball there is.
Is there a crosswalk?
No, not according to this.
On Kimball's, not on Warren. Yeah. So it's on Kimball, right? So Warren's no, so.
Because a crosswalk. I don't know.
It's technically, it's an uncontrolled crosswalk, because you do see the
Yeah,
cutouts on, they're not
Yeah.
ADA, but they're,
yeah. This, well, I think I mentioned this last
Yeah.
time, this might be a candidate also for a speed table
Mhm.
type of situation along this route.
okay,
I'm not, that's just, I'm kind of at a loss, really. I really don't want to make the lanes too narrow.
no, that's,
But sorry, but are there any other examples where they are that narrow? Like, I don't have a concept. I know we've talked about width before, but if there are other examples where, because otherwise,
Well, is it under that Dedham Ave, for the new Dedham Avenue, gonna be under the bridge that narrow, I think? If I recall correctly, I'm asking. Anyone in here remember that?
We don't have,
Which one?
Under the railroad bridge on Dedham Avenue, when they do the new striping?
We're gonna put a 5-foot side, it's 30 feet bridge, wall to bridge wall, just under, but 30 feet. Side curbing and sidewalk is proposed currently with the designers at 5 feet, so that's 25 feet of pavement. Opposite sidewalk, you have to push the edge line in enough to keep trucks that are heading south, so they don't hit the
Yeah.
wall. So those right now are proposed at 11-foot travel lanes.
11, okay.
By the designers, we asked them to take a relook and see if we could do even something tighter, because the roadway's gonna be 30. The state won't do it, MassDOT, they won't go down to 11, even though you can do 10, but yeah, the town, I believe, will receive the funds as a grant,
Yeah.
and we could do 10 if we choose to.
so that would make it the same as Warren, what you're
Yeah,
proposing.
under the bridge, and then that's what happens after that.
Right.
happens.
But it seems like, Warren, it has to be, you can't have big trucks barreling down Warren anyway, can you? Or can you? with the bridge, can you?
Right, with the, right, they'll probably go to the center, as they're driving down, they'll probably move to the, because of the bridge.
Yeah.
So in your professional opinion, and our technical advisor, so the options are to put a lane down and make it a 10-foot lane.
And there's no center line, by the way, either out there, right?
No, well, yes, correct. Would that, and if you put a center line, you're actually gonna.
That might even.
Can you do a double center line?
Yeah, yeah, should be double, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
Required to.
So right
yeah.
there, that,
That might slow them down a little too, now that you think of it, yeah.
Because the strategy would be a double center line and then perhaps, a candidate for a speed table.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
but if we can start with the painting, there are no lines, that will,
Paint it, yeah.
and what about, so no, but no sidelines, is that what you're saying? Only the center line, no, what
No,
are
no,
the,
no, we do the edge lines too.
that might,
Yeah, make it a pinch,
Just
a visual.
like a sharp, you know what I
pinch
mean?
point.
Yeah.
Pull it in, paint it.
Yep.
See how it, then we can observe.
just providing
That's
some
simple
direction
fix.
around it, because it makes it feel like a residential road right now, because it's got nothing on it. So just by putting some direction and making it feel more official,
I think so. I think that would.
And honestly, then if it's not working out, just you grind the yellow down and keep the lights on your way.
Because it's a local street, we can go down to 9 feet.
yeah,
If-
it
if
seems
this
to me it
group
should be a local
wanted
street, it
to
shouldn't be, if it's not meant
entertain
to function like Central Ave, it's.
It's a lot of our collector roads, whatever it is, or whatever.
Yeah.
They're very wide, you know what I mean? And so, I think that has been shown and demonstrated by MassDOT, if you look at the literature online, reducing does kind of help to naturally slow down. I think this is a candidate for a pilot.
We agree.
The interesting thing is,
Yeah.
if I could just interject real quick, and this is what we talked about. The volume on there is around 2,000 vehicles a day.
Yeah.
So it doesn't quite qualify as local.
Okay.
Like under 500 or so a day.
Right.
So it's a little more than that, but it's not Highland Avenue, but sure, it's.
But it's higher than, I forget what Mark Tree was around, was less than that, I think.
I can't remember, I don't have Mark Tree with
Yeah,
me,
it's
so.
South Tree is probably under 10, but not less than 5.
I don't think, no.
Then it makes sense to go with a double yellow line, honestly, because if it's not a completely, rural, not rural, but a residential street or what the,
Right.
I don't know the technical term. But if it's above that, then I think by putting in, double yellow line and edge lines, I think that's an appropriate treatment at least. And then we'll observe it and see, is it really reducing traffic? Is it doing what we want it to do? Or do we want to further treat by doing a speed table?
Yes. Do we want to put it near the bridge and pass the bridge a certain distance, or what
where the
limit do
speed
we
table
want to
is?
go? No, the markings.
All the way, can go all the way up to the bridge.
Is that what you
Yeah.
want to do, the whole length?
I think, I think it would be weird to just stop it after that intersection, especially if it's not a
Yeah.
stop sign.
Right.
And maybe it just turns at junction. Somehow.
Heading, wait, but not, from which direction? So you're saying,
Coming from like School Street down to Junction.
right, okay. So where, or does it start at school or does it start at Dedham Ave?
I don't know if that small little section by the triangle is.
Well, that's what I was wondering, is that's school, so it's at school technically, like really where it starts is
Yes.
school, you come in here and then you go.
Yeah,
I just couldn't remember. Okay.
Do we want to go beyond the bridge?
There's another intersection on the other side too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it goes all the way down to
Yeah.
High Rock, right?
So.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to take it all the way to
maybe.
High Rock.
Oh, yeah, especially with that, yes, and then take it, break it at that street, whatever it is right afterwards,
Yes.
whatever we need to break it at, but then just continue until
Oh,
a
yeah, yeah,
natural.
Norfolk, is that?
Norfolk.
That would add guidance to.
Yeah, we just go down past Norfolk, because that, you're hitting all the
It's more conflict points.
Yeah,
And it's only paint, right? So it is
Yeah.
not thermal, it's not thermal.
There's nothing there, so we could go, we tend to go epoxy, or thermal, usually epoxy now. Or we could do it in latex and just observe, it'll fade off in
Yeah.
2 years if the committee wanted to do that. That's more like a pilot, but then we can't go to the epoxy
once you do that, then you have to, then you're in. So, and how much that, I mean, I'm gonna let that decision be you guys, because I don't wanna. I mean, yeah, I mean, the removal of the. Is it an easier process? I don't think we're gonna be needing to remove. I think we all kind of agree this is something that would work, so.
Yeah.
Let's just go for it and,
So, okay, we'll pick either latex or epoxy.
Yeah.
10 foot or 9 foot, we can go down to 9, which pinches it.
you had some hesitation with 11.
Well, on Warren. It's a local street,
It's-
the fed says you go down, and we talked about in the past, Cambridge is pushing into
Well,
8,
Bob is hearing
which is
Tony,
really tight.
Tony talk, you know.
Yeah, I'm hearing Tony, my brain.
Yeah.
So let's try it at night, because,
seems-
you know,
Why don't we 9 foot
What,
latex,
why don't we, engineering, why don't we mark it out first?
check it out.
So you can see what it
Yeah.
looks like, and then we can do the pilot. So have
Yeah.
the survey crew go out there and put dots on the road, so you can visually see it.
10 foot lanes are on West Street.
Yep.
South Street, even shy of 10, because it's such a narrow road. Some of them are 9.5, almost 9 feet on South Street. And we have Great Plain Ave from Warren out to Harris is also 10 foot travel lanes on Great Plain Ave.
any, Gus or you might have any input on,
I think it's a good test case for 9. It's a short street. It goes under I mean, we're looking for, this town is in desperate need of traffic calming measures. And so since we're looking at it as a pilot, testing it on a street that's fairly short,
and straight,
seems like it's short, it's straight, it goes under the bridge, it's by the train station. It's a very good, seems like it's a very good place to test it out.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
you know,
okay. So
if
let's,
you get, for some reason, get funky feedback from somebody, you're not married to it for whatever, 4 or 5 years. I
Yeah.
certainly would try it out and,
So 9 feet latex.
yeah.
let's do, yeah, so we'll make a motion to do, double yellow, middle lane, and then, yeah, center lane and then white, edge lanes, down to 9 feet, from School Street to, Norfolk, what's
It's
it?
Norfolk, yeah, that's Norfolk.
Norfolk, down Warren Street,
A second motion.
second by Rebecca and by Gus, so third. Any discussion on the matter? Hearing none, we go to a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Okay.
Cynthia?
Oh,
Yeah, no.
yeah, Cynthia's one more, real quick. And it's really not a formal agenda item as of yet, but it will be probably soon. There were concerns about the speeding vehicles on Cynthia and Glover Roads opposite the Sunita Williams School. Again, it's local.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be the UPS and the Amazon and landscapers and that kind of thing, or the people who actually live there. But in lieu of all that, presently, there is a street counter out there right now.
Okay.
So there's a study going on. I haven't picked it up yet because I was busy with this, and usually I'll probably pick it up tomorrow, but I won't have data until next meeting.
That's fine.
But I have a feeling that it's under 30 miles an hour and there's only 800 vehicles a day, a week, a month.
Because they even have a restriction too during the school year.
Right,
And it
yeah.
says-
That was
and
the
it
end
says
run around.
But just to kind of cover the bases on that one, that's
Okay,
what's
Thank
going
you.
on there.
perfect.
And I think that is pretty much it for me as of right now.
Thanks,
And then we'll
Bob.
talk about Kendrick and Hunting Lake.
Yes, all right, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so do we have, is item number 4,
Commissioner Shiva Krupa is now.
okay, So we will move to the next item, number 5, and I believe I hear Carolyn is on Zoom, is that correct?
Yep. I also have.
We were here, I think, May.
Mhm.
Hi, this is Carolyn. Can you hear me? Hi, this is Carolyn. Can you hear me?
Shelton, Washington, Elkin and Vaughan.
Hi, this is Carolyn. Can you hear me?
We were up there.
Hello, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Your sound is not coming out. So let me make sure.
But there's no crossing areas, there's no crosswalk. There's no accessible, there's no.
Can you hear me?
crosswalks.
Carolyn.
Sorry, just this moment. You guys are going.
Because the petition is from.
All right, can you try now?
Yes, hi, this is Carolyn. Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Okay, great. So my name is Carolyn. I live in Needham, and my oldest child just finished his kindergarten year at Mitchell. We walk to school, and we use 2 intersections to get to school that are really close to Mitchell, that have really poor sight lines for pedestrians to see cars and for cars to see pedestrians. And so I was hoping to talk to you about that today. A little background on Mitchell. It's an elementary school that serves 500 students, K through 5. It's known as the walking school. It's my understanding that there are no Needham children bused to Mitchell. And if you're familiar with it, you know that the driveway is really small, traffic gets backed up. Most students walk to school. And then the topography of the neighborhood, specifically, southeast of the school, means that most students who live in the southeast use Bond and Falcon and then Bancroft to get to Brookline, which is where Mitchell is. There's hills on Brookline and there's hills on Falcon. So most students really use the same route to get to Mitchell, and both intersections we're talking about today are on that route. According to the Mitchell directory, there are 125 kids that live on those streets that we're going to be talking about. And these are our littlest pedestrians. Mitchell actually allows children, once they're in grade 3, to walk home by themselves. They can even release a kindergartner to a 3rd grader to walk them home. So that obviously brings up issues about visibility as well. 3rd grader is not very tall. And every parent I've spoken to about these intersections agree that they're very dangerous, especially for our Mitchell walkers. So first I wanted to show a topography map of the street southeast of Mitchell. You can see those hills I was talking about on Falcon and Brookline, which means that most students do walk up Bond and then cross Washington on Bancroft to get to Brookline. And I also included the number of students who live on the streets southeast of Mitchell who do funnel up through that route. So starting with Bond and Falcon, it's only 0.3 miles to Mitchell. There are no crosswalks. There are stop signs on Bond, but not Falcon. Cars on Falcon are supposed to go 25 miles an hour. However, there's a hill. I think usually they're going quite a bit quicker because of the curve, and it's around a curve. So pedestrians have poor sight lines when they're crossing Falcon because of the curve. And drivers on Bond have poor sight lines of, sorry, I just lost my notes here. I'm not sure what happened. I can pull it up on my phone. let's see. Drivers on Bond have poor sight lines of pedestrians due to the curve. It's also important to note that there's no limits on parking or stopping near the intersection, which further limits visibility of pedestrians. And you'll see the day that I was there to take pictures, there's a car right on the corner. You can't see the corner at all where students would be crossing. That first photo next to the map shows the corner of Bond where children cross Falcon. And you can see because of the curve, it is really hard to see the oncoming traffic. These cars, again, are the non-stopping cars on Falcon. And then photo 2 is in the car driving up to that intersection. And you can see, especially with the car parked there, but just in general, there's pretty poor sight lines of the corners where the children would be crossing. So then we can talk about Bancroft in Washington, which is actually closer to Mitchell. It's 0.2 miles. Again, there's a stop sign on Bancroft, but not Washington. And cars on Washington, again, have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. Again, it's downhill coming into the intersection. And this one is particularly bad. We have very poor sight lines when crossing Bancroft because of the curve, and there's actually a stone wall there as well. I personally listen for cars, which is increasingly unsafe because of the number of electric vehicles on the road. Again, there's no limits on parking or stopping near the intersection, which further limits the visibility. And then there's, the stone wall, fences, electrical posts, lots of stuff on those corners, making it even more difficult for pedestrians to see cars and also cars to see the pedestrians. This is a map of Washington and Bancroft. So you can see the curve coming into the street. Just to note, that's only 2 houses down, so the curve happens quickly. And the photo on the left is a photo taken at the corner of Bancroft where children cross Washington. And as you can see, there's really just no visibility there because of the stone wall of cars coming around the curve. And then photo on the right shows the picture from inside the car approaching Bancroft. And as you can see there's bad visibility for the drivers as well of pedestrians who would be waiting on the corner to cross because of the stone wall. There's even a sign to alert drivers of an intersection because of the curve, I assume, and because of the poor sight lines, but there's no warnings of pedestrians crossing the street. And just to go back to the beginning, it really is a very high pedestrian traffic area during the school commute to school and home. Are there any questions on either of those intersections?
Can I ask can you pull up, I'm struggling with the whole picture in terms of where there are, in that whole neighborhood, when kids are walking to school, where are there stop signs, where are there not? So just looking at the 2 intersections in isolation for me is difficult. So just, Tyler's gonna pull it up so we can look at it. It's not, you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
Because it sounds to me, from what you're describing, while I'm doing that, from what you're describing, it sounds to me like the issue is, so on the nation crossing Falcon, that's in that intersection, the issue is you can't cross Falcon, right? So if you live on one side of Falcon, it's very difficult to cross, even if you wanted to take, I'm trying to do this from memory, but so even if you wanted to take Washington down to Bancroft to get up to Mitchell, you can't safely cross Falcon. Is that the issue? Okay.
Yeah.
Also, in addition, this Falcon is a snow route. So it is it's a kids walk to school snow plow route.
Okay.
Bancroft is not, but Falcon, or that is Falcon.
So once they get when it comes,
children walking.
can I ask a question? So then what about further? So once they get up to Brookline, where are the crosswalks to get, where are the crosswalks with, crossing guards to cross Brookline?
There's just one,
Right.
and it's to the kind of like west of the school when you're looking at it. So it's a little further down Brookline.
But at what intersection though? Like, what's the cross street where you're, is it Bancroft, is it?
It's close to Bancroft, but it's further down Brookline. There's no intersection. It's just a crosswalk with a crossing guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have, there'd have to be
Is
a
it
street there.
at, oh, because the movement was there, so is that, oh, is that
Oh.
Dell?
A driveway of the
Okay.
school.
Just like, you know,
Right, okay.
So it
you
doesn't
get-
come out opposite a street, then it just comes out into the sidewalk on the other side.
Right, so all the kids, the streets where kids cross up, they go up their various streets and then they converge on the one crosswalk to cross, to get across, just like they do at Central.
yes,
For Newman,
for Newman,
okay.
yeah.
Got
But
it.
just to kind of reiterate what I said at the beginning, for the streets that are southeast of Mitchell, really the kids do take the same route to get there, and cross both of these intersections because of the hills on the other streets.
Mhm.
Falcon
there-
right here is pretty hilly.
Right, so is there a reason that that it's not a four-way stop at the moment, or that there isn't? And like, if we looked at this intersection before?
Yes,
Yeah, we put that, we put that yellow dotted line in there.
yes.
So,
That was
if you
back
could
in
give us some. yeah.
2017, we looked at this before, especially Falcon and Bond. And the volumes on Falcon Street were about twice as much as going on Bond Street, which is the reason why we stopped Bond in the first place. We don't want to stop the traffic on the more heavier traveled street. Just, that's the way it goes. There is extenuating circumstances that we can talk about later regarding visibility issues and geography issues, but as strictly going by the volumes of traffic, typically lesser volume street would be the stop street when you're stopping just two. If the numbers on each street were even, let's say 500 vehicles a day or so, then you could stop all four streets if it was equal volume. Now, that's strictly from a volume perspective. There's other particulars that go into the reasoning why you would put a stop sign on the main street also, that we can discuss in a few minutes, but that's generally how it works.
And you're talking car volume, right? The volume of car traffic, not pedestrian traffic. Yeah.
Correct, because that's actually, so a stop sign, the sole purpose of a stop sign is to establish right of way for vehicular traffic. It's not meant as even a speed control device. It's not meant to, even though by nature of stopping at a stop sign, you're slowing down and stopping. But that's not the intended effect of the sign. So it's to establish right of way, and that's what Bob had said, according to the Manual for Uniform Traffic Control Devices, it's a federal manual that all 50 states more or less adhere to, with some exceptions, establishes certain warrants, or they call it warrant, a criteria that would have to be met. One of which is, Bob was saying, that for a four-way stop sign, you have to have almost equal amount of traffic because you're establishing right of way. Now, with that being said, there are other things, I reread it today, there are other things that we could potentially have a traffic engineering study to determine whether, because of the asymmetry here and the collector street that empties onto Falcon, there is a reduced view. Even if you stop at the stop sign and then proceed forward, that's one of the criteria, the alternate criteria. So there are things that perhaps can be done on that next section, but that's something that has to be done and established through a traffic study.
Can I ask another question?
Yes.
So given that Mitchell is a walking school, and if your numbers are correct and there are 100 odd kids who walk this exact way, why can't the school request that there be a crossing guard at this intersection if it's so hairy? And then all these students are walking them.
I would say it's a resource issue because I know that they're.
But have they asked? Do we know?
I don't know if they've ever asked.
Did you
Another
discuss
thing I
this
could
with
say-
Greg Bayes by any chance?
No, I called to see if his office would write us a letter in support of this, but didn't hear back. So no, I haven't discussed a traffic, or a crossing guard.
It would be a different, that would be different.
Yeah,
That would be a different path. So not, I'm not saying in support of this, but actually in support of their placing.
Mhm.
And that might be a faster solution too,
Right.
number one, it doesn't mean that, you know, wouldn't be looked in either geometric improvements or we go down the avenue to see if, you know, we could establish a four-way intersection. That's gonna take time. Having a crossing guard is faster and, you know, can happen in tandem.
Would,
Let's let Bob.
my next thing is, as I see here, there is no crosswalks for a crossing guard to begin with.
Correct.
Now, I guess my question is, why isn't there? Why aren't there?
We're asking.
No, I mean, is it a matter of curbing? Is it a matter of design, geometric design?
I think it's a collector street and it's deep in the grid. I don't think we do, or we haven't, I don't see a lot of crossings on a lot of these streets. You know, around, and, you know, I haven't seen it.
And you have to have you have to have a crosswalk to have a crossing guard, because like at the
That would be,
intersection.
I don't know that answer.
Because at the intersection of Mark Tree and High Rock, there's a crossing guard who crosses the kids cross diagonally. There is no crossing in the crosswalk. So.
Yeah.
Even though it's a four-way stop, but it is how it
Yes,
works
yes,
there.
yes, because there basically is there's two crossings, but they do cross the diagonal. No, that's a point, but that might be an operational issue. That's just not being followed. But I mean, this is an uncontrolled, this is an intersection, it's an uncontrolled crossing. You do have curb cuts, they're not ADA compliant, but you do have curb cuts, so you're technically from a. And that is a uncontrolled crosswalk, it's just not a marked one.
Yeah, it's just, you know. One of the things is that when I look at these intersections, they're so open, to me, there's no definition. If you look at across on the far side of that intersection, there's hardly any curbing and, you know, and the distances to walk. This is a residential street. Should be, I mean, to me, and I know that's a long-term answer.
That might be an EPA thing, you know, you reduce that, you put a little.
I mean,
Planter
it
there.
is, the distances.
Yeah, Ryan and I did walk this and a few months ago with the, looking at how to make these compliant crossing areas. And if you cross the road on the right side, you see it goes to a driveway, there's no sidewalk up there. How are people, pedestrians, how are pedestrians traveling in this location?
Yeah, they have to
Are they
go
traveling diagonal, are they?
You
Or they
will,
don't
when
walk.
when we walk to school, like looking at this picture, we come down that sidewalk on the left and we come to the sidewalk in the bottom left corner. But you're right, it's a really long crossing.
So the more important crossing is across Falcon, correct?
That's right. It's unsafe to cross Falcon.
Right there.
Right there where they are,
Where the arrows, yeah.
pointer is.
Okay.
Right where that is, exactly.
So we would have to like tighten it up, like Gus was saying, tighten it up with granite and compliant ramps.
Yeah.
And look at the, kind of look at the pedestrian movements.
Yeah, and also look at the reveal of this curb. And there's nothing there. And, you know, these are not one, that's not a short-term solution. I realize that. That's big stuff. But
I mean,
maybe then what Tech is saying, then if there's such a concern, then maybe then if you have a crossing guard, even if it's just for a short time, that the people are aware who drive this daily, if there is a situation here, at least they can establish it.
Can you use paint to do anything in the meantime?
Yeah, but paint is not, you must not respect, paint is paint.
No, I know. I'm fishing. I don't know the answer. I'm just wondering, because I hear you. I mean, it's not like you want to send your 5-year-old into the street when paint is the only barrier between you and a car.
Right.
No, I get it. I really think I would, aside from this, so I know Greg Bates pretty well, I would email him and explain your concern and that this is, you're working through it with TMAC, but that in the short term come September, this is something that's a real concern and you know, just email, send him a personal email and just
Okay.
ask if he has time to talk about it, but it's something that if he has enough time, he should be willing to help, you know, find some sort of a temporary solution while the town works on the more complicated side of it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Summertime, are we seeing as many pedestrians as well, or is it just school, during school? I mean, if we go out there right now.
Oh, to do a count, I don't think you're gonna be able to get a good accurate count
I don't think so.
of the issue until, you know,
Until
school's there.
starting.
Are most of the walkers with the two red cars are parked in that driveway? And then coming to the lower part of the screen, is that where we're talking about? I got a little right there. Is that the cross?
Yeah,
That's it?
Yeah.
As we go closer to the Mitchell, is there a better location to construct something in a safer location for them to cross?
Falcon, that's a good
Stream.
question.
so I think the issue is the topography and people, you know, walk around the hills. So, you know, really most people take Falcon up to Bancroft or Falcon to Washington to Bancroft. But yeah, I don't know because of the hills, where else you would go.
If you go straight up Falcon, you're going straight uphill.
You're going straight uphill, exactly.
Oh, they're crossing here and going. up.
They're going to Washington and then Washington to Bancroft.
So
and
they're
up.
not taking this.
So we're not taking Falcon up here. That's right. We're crossing Falcon
Oh, that cross.
and then going up Falcon. So if you go up, this is our walk. That's, sorry. Going up Bond. I misspoke. I'm sorry. We're going up Bond.
Yeah.
To Washington.
Yeah, to Bancroft.
That's Bancroft.
In the fall.
Like they're all of these intersections are big.
Yeah,
Bancroft, and you go up.
Bancroft, and then we go up. Some families do cut like go up Falcon to Washington and then go up. I would say like our walking group does Bond to Bancroft, and then we go up Bancroft. And then the crossing Washington on Bancroft is really challenging. As you can see, there's these stone walls and a big curve, and you just really cannot see cars at all. Like I said, I listen for them because it just doesn't give you enough time to, when you see a car, to make it across the street.
So it's also that the cars can't see you fast enough.
And
So
then
you
the
don't
cars
have to
can't see the
move
pedestrians. Exactly. This is the intersection on Washington approaching Bancroft to the left here. As you're coming up, that even has an intersection sign to alert drivers that there is an intersection. It doesn't say anything about pedestrians crossing the road, though. It's on that utility pole.
This further down, I think we need.
Right there.
First of all, a curve sign further back, because there's not even a curve sign, and then this one here to improve this one, either moving it or putting something that would either in high visibility green or something like that, just to kind of
Or new panel.
indicate, yeah, and just because that's stated, and I think even further back, I don't even think there is anything to illustrate that there's a curve.
Yeah.
As you approach that, even, you know what I mean, further
Yeah.
back to say, oh, turn that curve ahead. So I think, I mean, there's low hanging fruit that I think can be done, at least, you know, in initial treatments. I think what's gonna happen is, in order to establish, and you have to correct me, Bob, or anyone else, that, oh, there's a blinder, that in order to see if it runs the criteria of this is a four-way stop sign, it's going to include a pedestrian count. Because as part of it, because one of the criteria in the manual is locations where a road user, the need to control vehicle pedestrian conflicts near locations that generate high pedestrian volumes. If this is a school route, that's that, but we would need to do an engineering study when school kids are around so that we have an accurate count.
During the in-school and out-of-school
So,
time, yeah.
meaning we can't do a study probably until September. That, you know what I mean? That would be able to establish the criteria that we could do a four-way stop sign control here. So I honestly believe my reading of this is that it doesn't follow the traditional, but it does follow because of the pedestrian and because of locations where roadies or after stopping cannot see conflicting traffic and is not able to negotiate the intersection unless conflicting traffic is also required to stop. So that's why, you know, basically the stop at the stop sign, you kind of go in, you still can't negotiate.
Shoot, yeah.
So I believe two of those three criteria under that next subsection, it would, but I'm not a traffic engineer, although I
Yeah.
kind of play one on TV.
Is it me, that stop sign is also pretty far back from the
2D07.
left side of the intersection too,
And then the traditional,
no?
I think it's hard to tell with the wide angle lens. So the
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, 405.
Yes.
And one other thing to mention specifically at this intersection, a lot of the cars coming through here, like traffic really intensifies during school drop off. If parents are driving kids, a lot of them are coming that route. And I mean, you could say that they're maybe more attuned to looking for pedestrians, but they're also in a hurry to drop their kid off at school. So it would be really interesting for you to like stand at that intersection at 8 o'clock in the morning on a school day. It's really dangerous. Some cars stop for pedestrians, others don't. Children don't really know what to do.
So that would probably be as part of the pedestrian study. We'll be watching the operations in general.
What is that, traffic?
You should send a communication.
Or
I
maybe
just-
traffic counters?
Before we make a motion on this, I just wanted to add to you in your email to Greg, there is also benefit to the principal sending out a message to parents. You know, there's certain stuff that no traffic calming pedestrian measures can make, but communication can help. So if you're talking about traffic that's coming from the people that you're trying to protect, a message from the principal that reinforces the importance of driver and pedestrian safety during school drop off and pickup, that it's the responsibility of all the parents in that community.
That's a good point. Mhm.
Yeah.
You heard about a walking
Yeah,
bus.
Newman did it. It's a good point. Check out, that's a really good point. So my kids are old, but when we're in Newman, and Newman is really challenging because it's, you know, it is a bus school, a driving school, and a pedestrian school. We did walking school buses. So on days when a lot of communities had walking school buses, so there was often an adult in the meantime walking with large groups of kids, and you can put signs up for walking school buses.
You have to explain, I don't know if you have to explain what a walking bus is.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the walking bus is that you create a group by walking along the street, and the kids join that group of people, guided, or let's say before and after their parents, and then together the group gets larger and larger because they get closer to the school. I know you're shaking your head and saying you've heard about it, but it is a very good concept.
Yes.
It is, and actually that exists for walking, it exists for biking too.
Yeah, so
It's even too small.
it's particularly helpful, you know, in urban areas where you have lots of kids crossing streets where it's not really, it's not easy and safe to cross, which is the issue that Newman has. It was a super helpful initiative, and you can put like handmade signs up, and it's another thing that helps to mitigate some of the concerns when you have large kids walking in larger groups with,
Mhm.
you know, adult supervision.
Is that usually spearheaded by the principal?
So when we were at Newman, Greg was at Newman, so he would know for sure.
Okay, good to know. And then also, you know, is there anything that can be done to kind of pull parked cars and landscaping vehicles and delivery trucks back from the corners? Because that really makes it challenging too. I mean, you can even see it in this picture, that van, you know, parked up at the corner. And the picture that I showed on Bond and Falcon had the car right at the corner. Is that something that you could do?
I think there's more of an argument that could be made for Bond because of the jog of the road. I think, a 20-foot, prohibition would be a regulatory change, it would have to go to the select board. I think there's probably more of an appetite for that, given the asymmetry of this intersection. That's just speaking off the top of my head, but I would, want to hear from the town, but I don't know, because the other one's more 90 degrees, so that.
Yeah.
Because there's also one issue, if we start to treat one intersection, we're then going to be asked to treat every intersection, which is just not feasible with every side. We kind of want to make sure that we're taking a risk-based approach. I think the
Yeah.
others, given this one right here, this is you have the hill, you have the weird yellow line that we put in.
Oh, the corner.
That if we did a parking prohibition, 15 feet from the curb or something like that. That I think is something that's more realistic to be able to do. But
No, I'm just trying to see here, how this should be generally handled. I think would be, talking to the principal, talking to the school, yes. Observing what physically is going on at each intersection, this one and up at Bancroft and Washington as well. During those times when there is a problem, to see, boots on the ground, what it looks like out there.
That
And
would
then
be you
say,
guys
okay,
observing or the
this is
school?
where the people are walking and, this is what kind of parking situation we have and, how the vehicles are zipping around and everything.
He's talking about as part of the traffic study that we're gonna vote on, is the idea of looking at
Right.
the car traffic, pedestrian traffic, and the parking situation come September, once school's back in session.
Got it. Okay.
Back to your question about the walking school bus, by the way, Greg would be familiar with it, but it should be it can be a PTC initiative.
Okay.
Supported by the school, but you or another parent should spearhead it, but run it by Greg, but spearhead it with other parents.
Okay. That's helpful. So the traffic study will take into account car traffic, pedestrian traffic, and parking.
yeah, safety of everything, and also,
My pinky finger really hurts.
Thank you.
So I think I'd like to make a motion
Yes.
that we do an engineering study or count, pedestrian count, car count, speed, type of,
Observation.
based on observation,
Engineering study.
the actual, and also hopefully that observation will also account if we wanted to treat with a cross at a future point, we wanted to do an actual crossing, so whatever needs to be done for that. At both of these intersections, but I don't think that we should do them before September, before school starts.
Right.
So Labor Day.
After Labor Day, whatever, when school is starting, but I think that I'd like the motion for an engineering study, a comprehensive one on those two intersections.
I second the motion.
Seconded by Donna. Do we have any discussion on that? Hearing none, we go to a vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Chair votes aye. It was unanimous. So that'll be the start of the process of this. And then I think also maybe if you guys just take a look at Brookline around that curve, see if we can just put a higher visibility, curb sign, whatever. I don't think we need to vote on that, but just take a look. Because I think that would kind of alert people.
Take a look at the panel.
Yeah, just to see if it's something that, can be included. So, I hope this, this is, obviously, this is it's a process, and so we need to kind of start that, and we have started that, so hopefully we'll have some sort of effect soon, but, it is what it is, especially if there's more geometric improvements, that's gonna take a little longer time for. But I think going on and having communication with the school, I think would also equally help in parallel.
Yeah, I appreciate that suggestion a lot. And yeah, thank you for your time and for your commitment to doing an engineering study after school's back in session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Aye.
So I think. I don't know if are they here, or are they online, Tyler, do you know? Shelley,
That's the one that They cannot make it.
They can, all right, okay, that's right. So that's, will be tabled to another meeting. Wanted to talk about the slip lane between Greendale and Kendrick.
Yes.
Was that? No, he's the press.
This wasn't really formally discussed as an item on any agenda yet. But we're discussing the little turn lane as you're going through on Kendrick Street after Hunting, before you get to Greendale, merge into Greendale on Kendrick. And there's that little tiny road. There was an issue with determining clarification, I guess, of how that road should operate. Should it operate as a one-way or two-way? A two-way? Or should we be stop signs on that intersection? You guys saw it pull it up? Yeah, you pulled it up.
So this is Greendale.
That little road right there where the pointer is,
We're down in Greendale.
right there.
So Kendrick Street is on the other road intersecting onto Greendale, intersecting Greendale.
After you cross Hunting on Kendrick and go straight across toward High Street or Greendale, I guess.
So it's, just as you're getting up and onto here.
So on the other side,
Yeah,
So you-
There's,
Okay, crossing over.
Yeah.
So you need that.
there's a break in the double yellow here.
Oh.
So there's confusion as to whether this is a left turn from Kendrick or a right turn from Greendale. That's a break.
Generally, the break isn't from the road, you know, the break is if you're turning off the road, correct?
generally, I like the word generally.
You're coming generally. Okay.
This,
Can it not be, is there not room for a double yellow line to make it two-way?
the little road
Yeah.
It's pretty tight.
is pretty tight.
I don't know.
So there was, the incident described was someone making that left off of Kendrick, turning onto Greendale, thinking that Greendale is a slip ramp, if I can use the term, as a one-way ramp right onto Greendale Avenue further down from Greendale to Greendale, but they think it's only one way towards the south, toward Dedham. And the gentleman thought that, he went around the curve tight, took the tight left, and had someone hit him coming up on the right-hand side of Greendale, coming up the ramp the way that he didn't think was possible. Someone unfamiliar with Needham, obviously, but yeah, of course.
I mean, why wouldn't they just go to the intersection and make it look?
Good question.
The logical thing to do is just go up to the stop sign, take a left there, but why that road instead of there, who knows?
But
So
I'm
look
not
at,
sure.
so look at closing that section and creating a left turn on Kendrick onto Greendale. If someone's going the wrong way.
They were coming from.
That's what they would be making assurance at that intersection. When did that little road come into being?
I don't know, it's been there a long time.
But also, when it doesn't stay one way, don't you stay to the right or stay to,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just.
Yeah.
And because there's no
Yeah.
stop sign, it sounds like the person, from what I was reading, just went that direction, took a hard left, didn't even stop, and did a head on.
I mean, this seems to me like incredibly obvious, looking at the picture from the
Just making
accident.
it do not, it took
Yeah.
going that way.
Well, can I just, how did the insurance company resolve that?
I don't know,
That's
What was
a
the
great
police,
question.
was there a citation issue with the police department?
I don't know.
For Mark
In
Lane?
the report, they said they're waiting for the police report.
Yeah.
So I would imagine the person in the Ford is gonna get cited, I would think.
It looks like,
The
it
person
This
who
looks,
From the wrong
yes.
lane.
And they're clearly in the lane of oncoming traffic.
Right,
Right.
Yeah.
There's no marking or sign or anything that I think would prevent this, other than to prevent an actual vehicle from going there, but there's no like, they turned into an oncoming.
right.
Right, the accident was that they turned into oncoming traffic on the other side, looking at the photo from the accident.
Right.
So the question from the other guy is saying, should there, the car been there in the first time? Should they have entered it? Now, there's nothing, you know,
There's nothing, right.
there's a lot of these little nuances everywhere, not just.
Well, right.
Oh, I know,
The
yeah,
problem is,
It's
right, the
solid yellow
problem,
on the other side.
right, the problem is if you do something, if you do this, then we have to look at every single one of these.
Right.
Is there an opinion that that should be a one-way coming onto Kendrick?
Make it a one-way going from Kendrick onto Greendale. Don't make a left turn there.
Right, you should not be,
That's where,
right.
that's where you should not enter that intersection right
It's too
there.
close
Right.
to
You're
the,
going up to the stop sign, then you can make a left turn there. The people coming down make that turn so that they don't have to stop at the stop sign.
and it's such an
That's-
angle,
that's the-
they can't.
That's
make
why
it
they make,
Right.
nobody makes that turn. I mean, obviously, if you live in the area, you know, you don't make that left turn onto that.
Yeah,
Yes,
the people who live down that little section of Greendale there.
Yeah.
Who would wanna go down Kendrick Street, let's say, they would probably, they're the 6 people a day that use that
And they're the only,
normally.
right, so they're the ones that should come onto Kendrick Street and make it a one-way going back up the other way. Just make it a one-way so that what he did, he made a turn that nobody makes a turn there. They go up to the stop sign and then they make a turn.
So I think, are we all thinking something similar, that it would be,
When you're on Kendrick Street, don't make a left turn there. Make that, don't,
that's a
Make-
one-way coming onto Kendrick from Greendale?
right, it's a one-way
Yeah.
coming on. You can't
Yeah.
enter, do not enter
If we
in that
can put
intersection.
signs up,
And then just,
and on the other side of Greendale, there's still crop, it's not broken, so people who want to get onto the highway from that little section. So if they can't go down to that stop sign, it's too hard of a right turn.
Well,
That probably why they-
it is a tough.
There's tough maneuverings there going on.
Oh, there's also the other side street there too.
Right, Red Nevada, yep.
That's also, yeah, part of that too.
right, if you had to turn left to go, so if I'm understanding finally where this is, if you need to go left for any reason from Kendrick onto Greendale, it's just as hairy. I mean, it's a really, because of the curve there, it's very hard to make
Yeah.
that sharp left there too.
Right. Again, we're talking about the 6 or 8 vehicle, the houses down there, and maybe 8. That are gonna really do that on a regular basis.
Do we know that though?
I can't,
So you saying the 6 or 8 people are gonna make that turn and then make that left turn what he did?
not necessarily, if they knew that's one way, they might go around the other,
Well, yeah.
that far end.
Can we throw tubes down there and just see which direction people are going and
On the little,
on a little tiny slip, or just to even see, what people are doing?
Yeah,
Or just sit there during, we have put somebody there.
Or
during-
reserve, but I
Have
mean,
lunch, but.
you do tubes for like 2 or 3 days, whatever, just to see because that it would determine which direction a car is going, and then I don't really care about counting, we know there's probably not that many.
No,
But
that's not-
just,
yeah.
are people using that to go from Greendale to Kendrick and avoiding the stop sign, or are people going from Kendrick to Greendale to avoid the
Cause I can see it both,
U-turn?
I can see the use of it both ways, but either way, you have to stay right.
So, yes,
I mean, no matter how you're using it, you have to stay right. And even if we kept it, so you're turning from Kendrick onto Greendale, you still have to stay right, otherwise you're turning into oncoming traffic. I mean, does that mean you have to put a stop sign there too?
it could be
I
that
don't-
because of this angle, people are making an assumption that this is a two-way. That's the most I can think of, you know?
well, I think it is a
It
two.
is a two-way.
There's nothing.
It's not labeled.
There's nothing to indicate that it's not a 2-way.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's.
well, then you got the
maybe
double
two cars
yellow,
Fit side by side.
it's not
Here's-
broken there, but that's a
So wouldn't he
mistake.
have something-
They're all one lane
Correct me if I'm
roads
wrong.
Did he have something-
that are
Take
two
one
The
ways.
left.
double yellow is
Yeah.
only for people crossing. You can still
So he
go
just
from
went-
Greendale,
so-
I mean, from
yeah,
Greendale,
and
just
Yeah,
take your
he
right
didn't even
to go to
stop there.
Kendrick.
Well, you wouldn't want that around the line,
Yeah,
too.
that,
Yes.
he didn't even stop. He just went right through that
Yeah, no, I-
intersection and
I
somebody's
think
coming
we
down.
need to remove the accident out of this conversation. And, you know what I mean? Because we know this accident was somebody turning into traffic and.
Well, how often is there an accident there?
That we could check with,
I mean, seriously, how often?
So that let's study this intersection.
yes.
Through the observation, that you feel is necessary, whether it's tubes or observation, whatever it may be, just to figure out the usage of this slip road. So,
One more thing, then on the side distance, going from this side to the others to Greendale, because that shrubbery there. It
Can you see
makes
when cars
it
coming down?
very difficult
Yeah.
for somebody from Greendale.
Yeah.
Going that way, if you go in there. It's gonna be, see all that shrubbery there? It's very hard to see. People coming out,
that's true. That could be planned. That's down, right? Or no? No.
yeah. It's too- I'm wondering, if- because it just makes it a bad location, it really is.
Yeah.
Because traffic from Greendale and going west, and terrible time looking over your right-hand shoulder because of that very shallow angle. But, okay, anyhow.
No,
I
you're
like
right.
that motion.
I think a profile. Oh, anything.
Let's take a look at it and then see what you have to do.
So Gus, is that a motion?
It's a motion,
Oh,
yeah.
Gus
take-
makes a motion.
Let's take to study the shortcut from Greendale to Kendrick. Particularly as it affects the traffic between the westbound traffic of Greendale and the eastbound traffic on Kendrick.
I second that. Thank you. Can you repeat that? Obviously. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, we go to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Chair votes aye. Any abstentions? Any against? Pass unanimously. So yeah, we'll just, and I think then we could get you'll get accident data too from that, right? To see if there's, and this is the other thing too, is reportable accident data. Because there's a lot of accidents that are like under the threshold of the but, okay. Perfect. And, yeah, that's all we have on the agenda.
Great, can I make a motion to adjourn?
Aye. Rebecca makes a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second by Gus. All in favor? Aye. All any opposed? Any abstentions? We are stand adjournment.
Can I ask a question of,